Hi everyone, Sean here with Geek Squadron, and today we're going to talk about how Disney and Lucasfilm can fix The Last Jedi through a special edition as part of a larger effort to save the Star Wars Sequel Trilogy. The goal here is to edit these movies into a coherent story with logical motives, consistent characterization, consistency with in-universe lore, and setting up a new trilogy to take place shortly after the end of the Skywalker saga. So let's continue this series with The Last Jedi. After the opening crawl, the first exchange is a circa 1980s prank call between Poe and Hux, ending in a circa 90s mama joke.
Your mother's so fat! She went to Scissors and the bitch got a group discount.
This might work if this were a sequel to Spaceballs, but it's not. It's supposed to be a sequel to the original Star Wars trilogy with its own distinctive, subtle brand of humor. So we're going to fix this and do it in a way that brings Hux in line to the evil, menacing character and presence he was depicted as in The Force Awakens. And this edit gives an idea of what that would look like.
I have an urgent communique for General Hux.
Patch him through. This is General Hux of the First Order. The Republic is no more. Your fleet are rebel scum and war criminals. Tell your precious princess there will be no terms. There will be no surrender. Open fire! Baby.
During the next scenes with the bombers, the necklace Paige Tico is wearing is edited out due to the fact that Rose's role is greatly reduced in this special edition. This is due to the simple fact that Rose's role in this film involves a plot line that ultimately goes nowhere and does not serve the greater story. So this is edited as their characters become more minor roles in this greater story. From here, we're back on the bridge of the Star Destroyer where we edit Hux to remain the more menacing character he was depicted as in The Force Awakens, rather than this new, trembling, bumbling, goofy version. In the next scene, Finn wakes up in the medical bay. This scene is edited to take Finn's character arc more seriously rather than him constantly being the butt of jokes in this movie. Let's take a look at how this might be accomplished. So as you can see, all of the unnecessary clowning of Finn by having him clumsily fall off the bed and stumbling around in a leaking plastic bag is gone. After he wakes up and calls out Rey, we cut straight to her and Luke on the island. Now Finn's screen time in the special edition of The Last Jedi is reduced. However, what we're doing is when he is on screen, we're establishing him as an important part of the Resistance, and by the end of the special edition of this trilogy, Finn is a very important character with a very important arc moving forward. And this takes us to Luke and Rey on the island. At first, everything plays out exactly as it originally did for good reason. In the special edition, Luke knows who Rey is and he knows her lineage to Palpatine, and he's trolling her in this because he wants her to leave the island. Luke is on the island to protect something incredibly important, and he doesn't want Rey to discover what it is in case she turns. The scene where Chewie enters Luke's hut is reshot to have Chewie enter alone. Luke's reaction to seeing Chewie becomes one you would expect for two good friends who haven't seen each other in a while. After Chewie throws the door open, Luke becomes wide-eyed and smiles brightly. "Chewie? I'm so happy to see you, but how did you find me?" After Chewie replies, a concerned expression comes over Luke's face. This is where he says the original line, "Wait, where's Han?" This lets the audience in on the fact that Luke is trolling Rey, and there's something about Rey that is causing Luke to throw this fake persona of this grouchy old get off my lawn man.
Get off my lawn.
Luke is not like this with anybody else. He's still very much himself. After Chewie busts down the door and Luke asks him, "Where's Han?" a deleted scene of Luke mourning Han is added back into the film. This starts to show that Luke very much cares about his family and friends, and this comes further into play. He has not given up in the special edition. The next scenes take place in Snoke's throne room between him and Kylo, and they play out exactly as they originally did. And from here, we return to the island with Luke and Rey. And I can't stress this enough to keep in mind that in the special edition, Luke is trolling Rey this entire time with his demeanor and how he's trying to get her to leave. He knows who she is and wants her to leave the island and does not want her discovering why he's really there. The line, "I came to this island to die," is deleted, and the result looks something like this.
Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake, and I need help.
You need a teacher. I can't teach you.
Why not? I've seen your daily routine. You're not busy.
I will never train another generation of Jedi. It's time for the Jedi to end.
From here, we move to the Resistance, where Leia slapping Poe is deleted, resulting in an exchange that looks more like this.
You're demoted.
Whoa, wait, we took down a dreadnought.
At what cost?
You start an attack, you follow it through.
Poke your head out of your cockpit. There are things that you cannot solve by jumping in an X-Wing and blowing something up. I need you to learn that.
We're really nowhere. How's Ray gonna find us now? A cloaked binary beacon.
To light her way home.
For the remainder of this sequence, the dialogue is edited to remove any mention of running out of fuel.
Okay, let's set a course for Druidia.
Setting a course for I don't know. We're losing power. Why? Because we're out of gas.
Burn it up in Hyperact.
I told you we should have put more than $5 worth in.
The way fuel is depicted in The Last Jedi is reminiscent of Spaceballs rules. This is not Star Wars. Star Wars rules are large star cruisers have fuel cells. This was established in Attack of the Clones. You certainly aren't going to see a Rebel Star Cruiser or a Star Destroyer pulling up to the gas pump. Only small craft in Star Wars have any references to using fuel. The larger craft use fuel cells. Think of the fuel cells in Star Wars as the equivalent of a nuclear reactor on a modern naval vessel. All of the dialogue mentioning fuel is edited and replaced with fuel cells.
You gotta be kidding me.
Can we jump to light speed?
Permission to jump in an X-Wing and blow something up?
Permission granted. Admiral, swing us around!
We also edit out any references to hyperspace tracking, as this is a dead-end plot line contained within The Last Jedi that does not serve the greater story of this trilogy. All of this is deleted out. The next scene is the attack on the bridge of the Resistance cruiser. This scene is where new footage starts to come into play. In the special edition version, the bridge is still attacked and heavily damaged, but it is not opened up to the vacuum of space. This contradicts already established in-universe lore and needs to be fixed. Even a Force user can't survive exposure to the vacuum of space. This was established in Season 2, Episode 2 of The Clone Wars, where Cad Bane captures Ahsoka and threatens to kill her by shooting her out of an airlock into the vacuum of space. So this special edition change will fix that contradiction to already established in-universe Star Wars lore. Moving forward, many of the bridge crew are now seriously injured, including Leia, who still ends up in critical condition. Admiral Ackbar survives with less serious injuries in this special edition. The next scene with Hux is edited to remove the mention of the giant Resistance cruiser burning fuel, and because the bridge is only wrecked rather than opened up to the vacuum of space in the special edition, the flying Leia scene is removed. The scene picks up with Leia being put on the gurney. The following vegetarian commercial with Chewie and the Porgs is deleted. From here we transition to the scene where Luke is aboard the Millennium Falcon, and this is where a new scene will need to be shot. Luke and R2 reuniting is where the audience is starting to be brought in on why Luke is on the island, what he's protecting, and who Rey is. Luke's demeanor in this newly shot scene is that of the person everybody very much remembers, letting them in on the fact that he is trolling Rey the entire time.
Get off my lawn.
After Luke tells R2, hey, Sacred Island, watch the language, R2 replies before new dialogue is added. I know, my old friend, I miss you too, all of you. But you're the only one that really knows why I'm here, what I'm protecting, and what's at stake. R2 beeps a response. Luke replies, how did she find her way here? She shouldn't remember me, the Jedi, or any of her training. R2 beeps. Luke responds, the map I left with Lors, at least she ended up with it instead of the First Order. R2 beeps an affirmative and makes a plea. It's too dangerous, R2. You know who she is and why I had to stop training her. R2 beeps another plea. Luke sighs. So Leia has faith in her? This is when R2 projects the hologram of a young Princess Leia saying, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Luke smiles and still says the line, that was a cheat move. From here, the scene closes with Luke smiling and putting his hand on R2. And this newly shot scene really lets the audience in on why Luke is on the island, who Rey is, why Luke is reluctant to train her, and that he very much has not given up. From here, we cut back to the Resistance Star Cruiser. The dialogue is edited to put Admiral Ackbar in charge, similar to how Ivan Ortega did in his Last Jedi re-edit, seen here.
We have lost too many lives. Gladly we recovered some, including Princess Leia, who is in critical condition. We will mourn later, for now the enemy has been able to track us. We suspect we have a spy between us. Therefore, we will not disclose any information. Holdo will take charge of the bridge, while my crew and I go to the main cabin and figure this out. May the Force be with us.
Ackbar puts Holdo in charge of bridge operations while he and the rest of his command crew go formulate a new plan. Ackbar's line about suspecting a spy also explains Holdo's reluctance to share information. The next scene where Poe questions Holdo, the line about fuel consumption is changed to the state of our ship. The scene is also edited to try to make Holdo less obnoxious about putting Poe in his place. That might look something like this.
Vice Admiral, Commander Dameron, there's a very limited amount of time that we can stay out of range of those Star Destroyers.
Very kind of you to make me aware. Let's give me this.
And we need to shake them before we can find a new base, so what's our plan?
Our plan, Captain? Not Commander, right? Wasn't it Leia's last official act to demote you for your Dreadnought plan? Where we lost our entire bombing fleet?
The extra dialogue of Holdo talking down to Poe through a fake obnoxious smile is removed, trying to make Holdo a more likable, relatable character. The next scene of Finn being portrayed as a coward who tries to run away is removed, along with Rose tasing him. Finn is unconscious in the medical bay along with Leia because he was on the bridge during the First Order attack in the special edition. This means the next scenes with Poe and Maz are deleted as well. With the removal of these scenes, we jump from Holdo and Poe back to the island with the exchange between Rey and Kylo. The scenes between Rey and Kylo don't change. As we shift to Luke and Rey, this scene remains the same until Luke is training Rey to reach out on the ledge. This scene is edited to remove the silliness of tickling Rey's hand and smacking it, resulting in something like this.
What is it?
Close your eyes. Breathe. Just breathe. Reach out with your feelings. What do you see?
Luke's reveal with R2 about who Rey is and why he had to stop training her has now paid off with the scene of Rey going to the dark and Luke being visibly upset. The next scene on the Resistance ship is edited to remove Connix trying to help Poe sneak Finn and Rose off the ship. From here, we return to the island where the scene between Rey and Kylo is unchanged. The next scene on Canto Bight is deleted, so we end transitioning from Kylo's wet hand to Rey training on the island with her staff. We then come to the scene where Luke is explaining to Rey about taking Ben as a student and starting his Jedi Academy. This is where we get the reunion scene that fans wanted that we did not get in the theatrical version. We'd get a reunion between at least Han, Luke, and Leia, probably Chewie, R2, and 3PO. We'd try to get Lando in there, but we'd have to figure that one out. But we definitely could easily get those 6 characters in there: Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2, and 3PO. We could get that reunion in there easily. Now, obviously, this would be a flashback. This would take place when Ben is still a kid, around Anakin's age in The Phantom Menace. We would still get that post-Return of the Jedi reunion that so many fans wanted that we did not get. In the new dialogue here is exposition about Han and Leia seeing Ben's sensitivity in the Force, asking Luke for help. Luke comes over to their home, wherever that may be, Coruscant possibly, maybe, where Luke explains to Ben why he's sensitive in the Force, what the Force is, what the Jedi are, and the Jedi path, and explaining to Ben why the Jedi Order needs to be rebuilt, and how the path is a hard path if he chooses it. Through this exposition, of course, it's explained that Ben does accept the challenge, and Luke takes Ben and a new class of students and starts the new Jedi Temple. Luke continues to explain to Rey, "One night I couldn't sleep, so I went for a walk. When I got close to Ben's room, I felt a dark presence I hadn't felt in 30 years. the presence of a Dark Lord of the Sith that had corrupted my father. I didn't understand how this was even possible. I saw him die. So in a panic, I rushed into Ben's room feeling he was in grave danger. With my lightsaber drawn, I rushed in only to find him sleeping. I realized that the dark presence was coming from within Ben. I didn't understand how the presence of this Dark Lord of the Sith was coming from the mind of my nephew. In my state of confusion, Ben woke up and he turned on me. I tried to plead with Ben, make him see reason, but he was gone. He brought the entire building down on me. He must have thought I was dead. When I came to, the temple was burning. My students were dead, as was my wife. He killed them. Because I failed. I failed them all. In this newly shot scene, Luke is telling Rey this matter-of-factly, not as somebody who is broken, but Rey still answers Luke with the line, "You didn't fail Kylo, Kylo failed you. I won't." This line is also part of this reshot scene. After Rey proclaims to Luke, "Kylo failed you. I won't." The next transition to a deleted scene is partially restored. The deleted scene itself is either partially or completely reshot, and it is the heart of why Luke is on the island in the special edition. And the restored transition shown here gives you an idea of what that would look like.
And you didn't fail Kylo. Kylo failed you. I won't.
Tribe from the neighboring islands.
For the following scene that is partially or completely reshot, as Rey hears commotion from the caretaker's village, Rey walks out to see what it is with Luke following. Rey asks Luke, "What is it?" Luke replies, "That's the caretaker's village. They must be having a ceremony. Pay it no mind," Luke anxiously tells her. Rey follows Luke back into the cavern. This scene and the caretaker's village are critical in the special edition of this movie, with a massive payoff in The Rise of Skywalker. Please keep this one in mind. From here we cut to the next scene, with the First Order pursuing the Resistance. The dialogue about the medical frigate running out of fuel is replaced with the line about their engines have failed or have been taken out. Connick's lines about fuel reserves are removed. Poe's brief line asking Finn, "Rose, where are you guys?" is removed as well. The next scene on Canto Bight is deleted as Finn is in the medical bay recovering from the attack on the bridge. Rose hasn't been introduced in the movie yet, and the hyperspace tracking subplot is removed from the special edition altogether. So we transition from Holdo telling the bridge crew, "Maintain our current course," to Luke on the island reaching out to Leia through the Force.
Maintain our current course. Steady on.
The next scene of Kylo and Rey communicating is partially reshot. Everything remains as it was until Kylo asks Rey, "Did he tell you what happened that night?" Rey steadfastly responds, "Yes, he sensed your mind being overtaken by a massive dark side presence." Kylo responds as he did. Rey responds somewhere between amused and upset. "Do you hear yourself? If Luke Skywalker wanted you dead, you would be. He was trying to protect you, Ben." Kylo then responds as he did, "Let the past die. Kill it if you have to." The scene ends as it did, then we follow Rey in the cave where she seeks the reveal of her parents. There's a very good reason she can't see her parents in the special edition. There is a payoff. In the next scene between Rey and Kylo in the hut, Luke confronts and stops him as he did, until he demands Rey leave this island now. The scene ends here with a wide shot overhead of Rey walking away and Luke pointing her away. This can be accomplished via CG. And the scene ends with the Falcon flying off. This is a rough idea of what that might look like.
Leave this island now!
scenes of Rey hitting Luke in the back of the head and the flashback scene are deleted. Luke's apprehension towards Rey makes much more sense in this special edition knowing her lineage and what happened to Ben. The Force Ghost scene comes next and is completely reshot to tie all three trilogies together. Luke doesn't try to burn the tree down in the special edition, so this does need to be reshot. In the special edition, Luke is meditating in front of the tree, seeking guidance. Yoda appears. Luke is happy to see him and greets him. Master Yoda? Now forgive my bad Yoda impression, but you gotta do it. Yoda replies,
Luke, missed you I have. Too disconnected from the Force you have been.
Luke responds, I couldn't afford to let anybody find this place. The future of the Jedi is at stake. My own nephew fell to the dark side. I couldn't take the same chance on Rey. Yoda replies,
Lost your nephew, we did. Lose Rey, we must not.
Yoda continues,
The first Jedi Master to lose an apprentice to the dark side. You are not. Lost one I did, as did a great many Jedi.
Yoda continues,
Remember your training, Luke. Fear is not the Jedi path. Fear of failure. You must reject. A great teacher failure can be.
And it is a teacher Yoda and I have both learned from. Luke replies, Obi-Wan. Hello, my old friend. Heed Yoda's words. If I had let losing your father to the Emperor break me, I never would have started your training and the Jedi Order would be lost. He's right, my son. Another Jedi appears, bright-smiled and eyes full of love. It's Anakin Skywalker. You must not let fear of failure or loss stop you from doing what you know in your heart is right. This was one of my biggest failures. A teary-eyed Luke responds, Father, I don't want to be responsible for unleashing darkness on the galaxy. Yoda interjects,
The dark side, Rey's bloodline may hold, but her heart, it does not.
Anakin responds, My failures are not yours, Luke. Son, you are one of the most selfless Jedi there have ever been. You've sacrificed so much to ensure the survival of the Jedi Order and ensure peace and justice in the galaxy. Anakin leans in closer. You are the Jedi that I was supposed to be. I am so proud of you. Do what you know in your heart is right, my son. You always have. The camera pulls back from the tree, Luke and the three Jedi, content and at peace. The following scene with Finn, Rose, and DJ is deleted, which takes us to the First Order pursuing the Resistance. Huck's line asking about their fuel reserves is replaced with an inquiry about their engines. Now, there are a lot of transition edits in the following scenes because all of the sequences with Finn, Rose, and DJ are deleted. The next scene between Poe and Holdo is unchanged, and the following scene with Finn, Rose, and DJ is deleted. We then rejoin Rey and Chewie on the Falcon. The scene of Rey launching in a pod to the First Order remains unchanged. The next scene with Finn, Rose, and DJ is deleted. The next scene between Poe and Holdo is edited to remove mention of Finn and Rose's side trip. And this gives you an idea of what that would look like.
We have to get clear of the cruiser. Load the transport.
Right away, Admiral. Yeah, I was afraid you'd say that. Vice Admiral Holdo, I am relieving you of your command for the survival of this ship, its crew, and the Resistance.
I hope you understand what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm going to the bridge. If they move, stun them.
The next scene with Finn, Rose, and DJ is removed, and we transition from Poe and Holdo to Rey and Kylo in the lift. And this gives you an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah. I'm going to the bridge. If they move, stun them.
You don't have to do this. I feel the conflict in you.
The scene with Rey and Kylo in the elevator continues and concludes in Snoke's throne room as it did. The scene with Finn, Rose, and DJ is deleted, which means we transition from Snoke's throne room to Poe entering the bridge of the Resistance cruiser.
Well done, my good and faithful apprentice. My faith in you is restored. Young Rey. Welcome.
Clear the bridge. Escort the officers down to the hangar.
Commander, Captain Dameron, Admiral Holdo was looking for you.
Yeah, we spoke.
The next scenes cutting between the Holdo-Poe conflict are edited to remove the transitions to the deleted Finn-Rose DJ scenes. After Leia stuns Poe, the next scene is partially reshot to give Admiral Ackbar the send-off fans wanted to see. After Leia says to Holdo, "Time to board your transport," Admiral Ackbar appears. He says to Leia, in order for the transports to escape, the two of us must stay behind to man weapons and navigation. Leia's line, "Too many losses, I can't take anymore," remains. Holdo's line, "Sure you can, you taught me how," is retained, and Ackbar's last line is, "It's been an honor and a privilege to serve with you, Princess." The final line, "May the Force be with you," is unchanged other than Ackbar being inserted into the scene. The mention of a cloaking device is removed from the next scene, and Ackbar is digitally inserted next to Holdo as the transports are leaving. The next scene in Snoke's throne room and on the transport with Poe and Leia are unchanged. The scenes on the transport cut back and forth to Snoke's throne room only as the DJ Finn-Rose side plot is deleted. The rest of the scene in Snoke's throne room plays out as it did with Kylo killing Snoke and teaming up with Rey. The following scenes on the transport cut back and forth between the Resistance and the throne room as the DJ Finn-Rose side plot is deleted. The reveal of Rey's parents is edited to allow this information to fit more coherently with the rise of Skywalker. Kylo saying Rey's parents were filthy junk traders who sold her for drinking money is removed. This way, when Kylo tells her in The Rise of Skywalker, "I never lied to you about your parents," that becomes true as we learn that her parents weren't junk traders and never sold her for drinking money. And this gives you an idea of what that possible result might look like.
Do you want to know the truth about your parents? Or have you always known? Say it.
They were nobody.
In a pauper's grave in the Jakku desert. You come from nothing. You're nothing. But not to me. Join me.
The next scenes require editing to insert Admiral Ackbar into the pilot seat of the Rebel cruiser. Earlier in the special edition of this film, Admiral Ackbar talks about coming up with a new plan to the crew on the bridge of the Resistance ship. This hyperspace ramming move is a result of Admiral Ackbar's planning, which closes a massive plot hole from the original film. We can easily deduce that Ackbar worked out the exacting nature of this move as part of the plan he mentioned earlier in the special edition of this film. Once done, this information on how to perform this move dies with him. Further editing is done to remove the Finn-Rose side plot. Holdo is shown with Ackbar manning weapons and defenses. This scene from Ivan Ortega's Last Jedi re-edit gives an idea of what that could look like.
May the Force be with you.
Sir, the Resistance cruiser is preparing to jump to light speed.
It's empty. They're just trying to pull our attention away. Pathetic. Keep your fire on the transports.
Fire on that cruiser!
The next scenes with Finn and Phasma are removed as we transition from the aftermath of the explosion to the throne room. And this takes us to the opening scene on Crate. The opening scene here on Crate is edited to remove Finn and Rose crashing into the base. CG is used to put them in Resistance jackets. This gives you a rough idea of that appearance.
They're coming. Shut the door.
All right, shields are up, so they can't hit us from orbit. Use whatever power we've got left to broadcast a distress signal to the outer rim.
Use my personal code. If there are any allies to the Resistance, it's now or never.
The scene of the speeders making their run on the First Order remains as it was until Rose knocks Finn away from the cannon. The awkward dialogue and kiss are removed, as is the brief shot of Rose's necklace. Luke appears and talks to Leia as he did originally, and then we transition to Finn bringing Rose in unconscious to safety. Luke confronts Kylo as he did originally, except the scene is edited so that he's carrying his green lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, as Ivan Ortega showed in his Last Jedi re-edit. This lightsaber represents Luke becoming a Jedi and should be here. The next scene with Rey moving the rocks is edited so that there are a few large rocks and Leia helps her move them. This closes a plot hole and shows that Leia does know how to use the Force. It also closes a plot hole Disney Star Wars has created, where Jedi can suddenly now move every rock within a 5-mile radius.
That's not how the Force works.
This needs to be corrected, as Force-sensitive abilities give somebody an advantage over non-Force-sensitive people. They don't make you like Q from Star Trek The Next Generation. After Luke leaves Kylo, we return to the island. This scene needs a small reshoot to set up the big payoff in The Rise of Skywalker, as well as the basis for the next trilogy. As Luke pulls himself up onto the rock, he looks out at the sunset. As he does this, the spirit of a beautiful, older, red-haired woman appears. It's his wife, Mara Jade. She says to Luke, "Luke, you have completed your task in this life. The Jedi Order will now endure. You've earned your rest, my love," she says with a smile. Luke smiles as a tear of happiness comes down one side of his face. He looks down on the caretaker's village and smiles a little bigger, before looking back into the sunset and becoming one with the Force. This gives Luke becoming one with the Force a much more satisfying conclusion, as well as introducing fan-favorite expanded universe character Mara Jade into the new canon. And this also goes back to the end of The Force Awakens that we mentioned, where we mentioned that headstone next to Luke. This is the payoff of that, as that headstone was Mara's memorial stone. As we get to the last scene on the Falcon, Poe introducing himself to Rey is deleted, as they would know who each other are after this scene in The Force Awakens. The drawer showing the Jedi text is removed, as well as Rey will acquire them in the special edition of The Rise of Skywalker. When we get to the Millennium Falcon, when Rey is talking to Leia and the camera focuses on the broken lightsaber, CGI is used to allow Leia to reveal the disc Han gave her in the special edition of The Force Awakens, before saying we have everything we need. At this point, the credits roll. Yes, the Canto Bight kids at the very end are removed, as that whole sequence is removed. And with the credits rolling, this wraps up our special edition changes to The Last Jedi. The special edition of The Last Jedi obviously needs a lot more tweaking to bring it in line as a coherent bridge between The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, believe it or not, most of these changes involves editing and some CGI additions. A lot of the editing involves tweaks to dialogue and inserting elements or characters into certain already existing scenes. We don't count this as new footage, as the scenes are already there. These CGI additions are just laid in on top of that. As you can see, Ivan Ortega did it. If a guy with a really good computer can do that, there's no reason a big studio like Lucasfilm with Disney's resources can't do the same thing very cost effectively. The reshoots of the new scenes add up to roughly 7 to 8 minutes, so we're still within our window of between 10 and 15 minutes of reshoots for the entire special edition of this trilogy. The biggest changes are the new scenes between Luke and R2, the scene of Luke talking with the 3 Force Ghosts, and Luke speaking to Rey, where we have the flashback to Han, Luke, and Leia from just a few years prior when Ben was a little bit younger. And let's be honest with ourselves, it's going to need to be deepfake to be accomplished. But it is possible. These edits are of course in addition to the deletion of other things, such as the entire Fenn Rose DJ Canto Bight hyperspace tracking side plot, as well as the removal of the running out of gas dialogue. When all is said and done with the removal of the whole Canto Bight hyperspace tracking arc with DJ Rose Fenn, that whole side plot, that removes about 30 to 40 minutes off of the entire runtime of the movie. However, with the addition of the reshot scenes that we're putting in to restore Luke Skywalker to the character arc and get rid of the whole infamous Jake Skywalker thing, we're making this movie about a 2-hour runtime, so roughly the runtime of the original Star Wars movie, or one of the original trilogy movies in general. So it's more in line with just what you would expect from a Star Wars movie runtime-wise. But with these changes, we're continuing and leading to the last movie with big payoffs that wrap up the Skywalker saga, and also set up a new trilogy. So we hope you enjoyed our continuing series on a special edition to save the Star Wars sequels. So keep it tuned to Geek Squadron for the final chapter, which is the Rise of Skywalker special edition, which will be coming very soon. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you later.